This green ball, even to this day, still makes people suspect that Stephen Lee did not really miss it, but simply did not want to pot it. So was this frame really, as people outside have claimed, a case where Stephen Lee was suspected of manipulating the match? Next, let's take a closer look. This was the deciding frame of the quarterfinal at the 2012 Welsh Open between Stephen Lee and Ding Junhui. After Ding Junhui potted the red, there was only one red left on the table, and it was tied on the cushion. At that moment, Ding was still 16 points behind. After potting the return shot, there was no good angle on the final red. Ding had no choice but to switch to safety and use the black to lay a very tricky snooker. The applause from the crowd was enough to show just how difficult that snooker really was. But Stephen Lee clearly already had a clear escape route in mind. He sent the cue ball around the table, off two cushions, and escaped it with ease, while also turning it into a counter snooker. It has to be admitted, Stephen Lee's level of skill was far from ordinary. Ding Junhui did not back down either, and escaped it just as easily. The truly unusual moment came on the very next shot. For a long pot chance like this, it should not have been difficult at all for Stephen Lee, but he somehow missed it badly. At that moment, no one noticed anything unusual. Right after that, Ding Junhui produced another tricky snooker. What no one expected was that Stephen Lee used a jab shot to pot the red with ease. Normally, after making a shot with that level of difficulty, Stephen Lee should have been happy. But at that moment, his face looked full of worry. Maybe that was not the result he originally wanted. Then, after cutting in an ultra-thin black, he controlled the cue ball perfectly and landed nicely on the yellow in the top half of the table. At that point, although Stephen Lee was still 15 points behind, the chance for a total clearance was already right in front of him. After potting the yellow successfully, the cue ball also ran nicely onto the green. From that angle, if the cue were handed to you in front of the screen, would it really be a problem? But what happened next was completely unlike Stephen Lee. The one ball he should never have missed, he missed anyway. What made it even stranger was that he showed no regret at all. Instead, he went back to his seat, looking almost relieved. A miss so clearly below his true level really leaves people wondering, do you think this was just a simple miss? Or did this shot itself already explain everything?